Hey everyone, welcome back. And this time, let's talk about Paul Manafort and his situation, his current situation. And just to kind of catch you up to speed, if you don't know, Paul Manafort went through trial for like tax fraud, money laundering, a whole bunch of financial financial problems. And he went on trial for that first run, and he ended up having 8 guilty convictions, and then 10 of those charges were ended up in a hung jury, which mean and it came out that one juror said that came out for it, and they said, "Oh well, look, you know, he was guilty as sin. It's very plain to see." She goes, but she believed it was a witch hunt. So basically she was believing the propaganda. Maybe it was a she. I can't remember. But, they were believing in the propaganda being put forth by what Donald Trump treats all the time with this whole witch hunt. So or he, I can't remember, maybe somebody can remind me, they pretty much decided that they were going to hang the jury because they couldn't come to consensus. The other jurors were like, come on. The evidence is right before you. But it couldn't be convinced that if they convicted him of everything, it would look like a witch hunt. So they just didn't. So anyways, but it really was like kind of a moot point, because Paul Manafort actually had 2 other trials that they were preparing to take him to court on. And a week before that trial, Paul Manafort's team, his lawyers, went and asked for a delay in the trials. And they began the process of talking to the special prosecutor's office about a plea bargain. And that plea bargain wasn't going anywhere because apparently, we don't know the details behind the scenes, but it was like, they were offering up things, but, I think Muller's office and his team is just like, no, not enough. And then, just last week, an announcement was made that, that Manafort was going to plead guilty and has come to a plea deal. Now, nobody knew what that plea deal was. And so everybody kind of was waiting. And then when they went in, the judge was like, okay, Paul Manafort was there, and he's like, okay, here I am to enter my plea. You're going to plead guilty. Yes, sir. And then they do the whole, legalities to make sure he is who he is. He's sound mind and he's consulted his lawyers and all that legal jargon stuff to ensure that he is capable of pleading guilty and is doing it of his own accord. Then they turned around and they asked the prosecutors, what are the list of charges? And the prosecutors pulled out an 18-page report and read it all. The thing that amazed the judge was, she's like, well, that was thorough. She was like, that's probably the most thorough this courthouse has ever seen. So if anybody has, and the reason why I brought that up is if you go back to my Muller update reading on saying, September 1st deadline has passed, that particular reading. There was a part in that reading where one of the cards that came up was the 5 of Wands. It's the arguing, where as he's doling out the indictments, people are going to try to fight it. But once they realize just how much Mueller has on them, and it's so rock solid, they're going to have to back down. And this is kind of the situation I think Manafort found himself in. And it's a very interesting, it's a really kind of an interesting evolution to see Paul Manafort go from a person of arrogance, you know, believing that, you know, he could get over this. He had Trump on his side. He had the government on his side, the special prosecutor. Maybe he was thinking it was, you know, it was a witch hunt, but he's also had other more powerful people outside the United States that would help him. And as time went on, and as he was circumventing the justice system, he gets caught, and then he goes to jail. Then he continues to try to circumvent. Then he gets taken out of the penthouse jail and moved into another jail that's less penthousey. I don't know if there is a penthouse. Just, it seemed like a place, he was in a place of privilege for his money and the high profile he was in. So then the trials go on. And then as you're watching this guy, you know, remains defiant, like he can get through it. And I think there was a sense of he's able to maybe get off of some of this stuff, because, you know, he did get a hung jury. So he might have was moving forward of going, okay, there's some hope here. We can definitely make this happen. But when they're preparing for the new trial, and I think the prosecutors have to send over what they have on what he's going to be convicted of, I'm sure the defense team went to Manafort and goes, you are not getting out of this. It was like, there are things we can do, there's things that we can try, but this is not looking good. It's too strong against you. And I think other things came into play. You know, like his family. And having a trial is very expensive. I mean, he's got a star team of lawyers, and they're not cheap. And I think, you know, it's becoming too expensive. He's going to continue to drain the coffers. Then his family comes into his mind. So now you're seeing a person that was very self-absorbed, and it didn't matter. It was about his success. His success was what mattered, without regards to how it affects other people. And now he's in a situation where he's sitting alone all day, probably talking to his lawyers, probably doing everything, and then they're doing the plea bargaining stuff. He had some inner reflection happen to him, and it's suddenly you see the mind shape, his mind shift. It shifted into a part of, okay, I gotta save what I can for my family, you know, and maybe even protect them, because maybe he was feeling that. I don't know. So what I wanted to do with this reading is just kind of be like, okay, what now? Where is he going? He has pled guilty to all the charges, everything. And he has agreed to cooperate on everything. And he's also agreed to cooperate without his lawyers present. So he has literally given up everything. And for that means that Muller has something. He was only satisfied with absolute cooperation from him. So where is it now? How much? It almost feels like that Manafort probably is a key to interlocking together all the puzzle pieces. So I think that Manafort actually had something. He didn't need. Muller had something. He didn't need Manafort. But having Manafort solidifies and locks things together. So let's see where we are and what the process is for him coming up. What are the challenges for him coming up? I mean, I'm not really even sure where he's going in terms of, you know, maybe I'm looking at a more internal reflection with this guy. Maybe I'm looking at how his cooperation is going to assist the Mueller investigation. I think we're just going to have to wait and see if, you know, going into that energy stream of where from the guilty plea and moving forward and seeing where it's going to go and what's going to happen. And maybe it will show its relations to Trump. I'm not sure, but we'll have to find out. So I'm using this deck because I think it's probably more appropriate for this particular reading than the standard Rider-Waite. And let's see what it has to tell us. Where are we going? Where is it heading? What is going on with Manafort and the Mueller investigation? Let's see if it tells us anything. I really hope it does, because I'm kind of curious. All right. Let's see what we have. Okay. Here we go. The Knight of Swords. So, here's an interesting thing. The Knight of Swords is a charging energy. It is heading forward. It is taking charge. It is it's a fighting spirit. It's a fighting thing going forth. But when you actually look at this card, okay, now for me, in all of my readings, the King of Swords is the Muller card, okay? The King of Swords is the Muller card. So now I'm looking at a Knight of Swords, okay? So Manafort has agreed to full cooperation. So instead of now him being the opponent, he is now the Knight energy pushing forward for the Muller investigation. This card would indicate the flip. This is the flip card. So instead of being on the opposing side and being arrogant and being defiant, he has now pledged his full cooperation, and now he is Muller's knight. He's going to have to fight for Muller by giving up information. So this would indicate to me the flip card. He's flipped. It's done. All right, so, oops, we got 2 cards here. We're just 1 card at a time here. Okay, in the past, he really thought he was the magician, right? Manafort really thought he was the magician. He really thought he could make it happen. He is the great manipulator. He was able to. He has experience in working with foreign countries, with government. He believed he had all the elements. He was the great manipulator. He was the magician and could make things happen, right? Well, we know how that turned out. You know, the great manipulator was caught, was taken to jail. Right? He was taken to jail and he was convicted, and then he was facing more trials that would have just devastated him. I mean, he would have probably been in jail for, 2 lifetimes. So here's the present. The present is the agreement. This is the agreement that he has made. So the flip is done. The deed is done. So this is him now with Muller. And he is now the Muller's knight, so he's going to provide the information. He's going to cooperate in any possible way or form. Now, just because he flipped doesn't necessarily mean that, he's morally flipped. He could still have moral issues that he's got to work through. But to save his own skin, he has flipped and agreed to cooperate. So the magician has flipped and is now cooperating. The challenge is the heartbreak. He's heartbroken. He was here's the heartbreak. He was outwitted. He was outwitted. He really thought he could outwit Muller, and it didn't happen. And now he's forced into a position where he had to choose. You have only so many options, and he had to choose. And none of the options were good. All the options lead to heartbreak, but which sword hurts the least amount? Which sword hurts the least amount? And it could also be, you're sitting there going, Muller is here. You have money as a heartbreak, and you have family, the harm you're doing to your family. So you could have those 3 heartbreaks right there. So, yeah. His challenge is the heartbreak. I mean, he's got to come to he still has some work to come to in terms of his own emotions and atoning for what he's done. I'm not really fully feeling currently that he has, it's more of it's like, I got checkmate. It's like a game of chess, and he got checkmate, and the king took him down. So he's going to have to still deal with that emotion inside of him. So now he's nurturing something new, right? This is the 7 of Pentacles. It is also the The harvest is rich, but not satisfied. So here's the thing. He's now having to nurture the Mueller investigation. They're going to draw out information from him. He's not satisfied about that. He's not happy about that, but that's the only option and recourse that he has, you know? So here we are. I think this kind of paints a picture of how he's feeling. He's not happy he had to do this, but he had no more recourses. He had no more options. He was out of options. So let's build upon this story. So we have the King of Wands, right? The King of Wands in this particular spread could also be the prosecution, right? So you have two situations going on here. This could be that he felt like he was the magician, that he could do, you know, he could force things forward, he can make things happen and stuff like that. But this could also be the prosecution. The King of Wands understands that in order to complete anything, you need a team to make it happen. And he's not afraid to give it out to the team and praise the people that go ahead and do it. So I would probably say this would be the prosecution team coming after the magician, because and it's a whole team. The king is in charge, because whoever headed up the prosecution for all of these trials, for the Mueller team, he was the king doling out the duties so that everybody can get it done. So here it is. We have the two sides here. All right. The Ten of Swords. So yeah, this would be the prosecution team, right? They got their man. They took him down. They had such a rock solid case. This is a king energy. This is success. It's on top of their game. They had everything together. And for Manafort, it caused his defeat. He had a lot of swords on his back. I mean, 18 pages that were read aloud in court to the judge to show the charges that he was going to be pleading guilty to. Ouch. That's a lot of swords in the back. So yeah, you can see the heartbreak, huh? So the challenge for Manafort is going to be finding emotional fulfillment. You know, and this kind of harkens to what I was talking about up here. He hasn't come to, he's more of defeat, resigned. He hasn't morally come around yet. He's just like, oh, I was caught. Darn it. I was caught. Now I'm suffering. Now I'm paying. Now I have to make choices to protect whatever I have. Protect things. You know, oh, and also the loss is his personal belongings. I mean, personal properties, bank accounts, everything. Because of this extraordinary loss, because of this extraordinary loss that he's endured, he has to find it within him some emotional satisfaction, some emotional support, the emotions. You know, what he's done was for the emotional good for the whole, not just his own self and not just the country and his family. He's got to find that. And I think the moral obligation for him is going to be a challenge for him. The morality of what he did, because when you're breaking the law for so long and you think you're above the law, you don't have, it doesn't even cross your mind that you're harming other people. And this is going to be a challenge for him. Outcome. His options. So he is right now in jail, right? Sorry, I'm taking a drink of water because I got a thingy in my throat. All right. So he's now looking at his options. This is a 7 of Cups. Illusions, delusions, you know, imagination. Everything is in your head, right? It's all in your head. It's not coming to fruition. It's not in reality. If you're sitting in jail and having a lot of time to think about things, you are probably thinking of a ton of options. You're thinking. It's going through your mind. It's going through your head. And I'm moving these over. So he's really thinking about things hard, right? All right, let's moving on. Oh, and there's Muller. Wow, he had no chance at all. No chance at all. You have him is this magician, right? This complete magician. He thought he could manipulate, he could do things, he could make magic, he could make something out of nothing. Then he has the prosecution team, right? And Muller. That's a pretty cool Muller card. Okay, so he has the King of Swords, which he, like I said, Muller is my King of Swords. That is it. So he literally had no chance. This is what brought him down. That brought the magician down. So loss. Aha. So now this is again. Muller is demanding of him everything, literally. So this is the loss card. This is disappointment. But in this context with this card, you see them with the 2 cups up and you see the 3 cups down and with blood on the ground. Okay, this is like sacrifice. He is sacrificing everything to make sure that his family is safe, that he is safe. I don't think I don't think the remorse has come up yet with him. Not yet. I really do think that he can turn around. I really do think. I mean, the whole guilty plea definitely is a first step in the right direction. I don't think he's morally turned yet, but he definitely has flipped. There's no doubt about it. Muller is not letting go of the reins. He is going to give every last drop that he knows to assist his situation. I think Manafort is a key. He's a very important key to tying together a lot of the investigation that Muller already has. It just solidifies already what he has. So, the Hermit card. Yep, he's in jail right now, and there's a lot of time to reflect and to go inwards. And this is that reflection of me believing that, he's going to have to understand what he did wrong and deal with those emotions and deal with that situation and understand exactly how his actions has harmed so many people and a nation, because what he has done was very bad, really bad. So, all right, next card. And the Fool. So yes, he's been put on a new journey. Without a doubt. He's on a new journey. His old life is done. It is cut. It's a scythe. It's the death. It's over. He is now on a new journey. This new journey. And in reality, when you kind of look at this card, right? It kind of gives the indication, it's like, yeah, he was the fool, right? He did foolish things. He got caught. He had the heaviest hand of legal teams against him that he had no way this magician can get out from underneath these 2 kings, right? None. But his outcome, when you're looking at the outcome, he's forced to give him information over. He's sitting in jail pondering, thinking all his options. And yes, he's probably wishing, in the imagination, you got a lot of time to do that. But it will launch him in a new direction. It will give him a new direction. So he has a choice now. He's got a choice. Yeah, what he does may, it'll keep him in jail for quite some time. It'll give him a lot of times to think about it. So when he gets out, is he going to be the fool again and repeat the old mistakes? Or is he going to go forward? Is he going to go forward? So, is he going to go forward on a new journey? Now, I don't know what sort of opportunities they have in jail, but, he could definitely find something. So we have a new opportunity here, or he can be foolish and just continue making the same mistakes as always, right? So here we are. Right. The final card is the Eight of Cups. This is usually the leaving cup. Now, this means that he is leaving. This means that he's leaving his defiance behind. And he's now, because everything he's tried has failed, right? So he's getting ready to walk. He's getting ready to leave. And because he's flipped, that means that he's moving to reveal information, moving to higher grounds, moving into a more, he's looking for better things. And the only thing that's going to help him find better things is to cooperate with Muller. So this gives a dire picture. It's a dire picture for anybody who was hoping that he would not flip, right? He's the key. He is the key to tying so many things together that Muller already has. And he will solidify many cases. So I think this was a big deal. This was a huge deal. I think this will alter the path for Muller. And it'll alter it in terms of giving him the necessary information to move forward with other indictments. And with this, it's going to uncover new things. New things, new secrets, because you got the moon up there. Muller's going to, or not Muller, Manafort will expose new things, and it will launch new investigations. I mean, he is tied into so many foreign things. It's going to, it's going to uncover things that we never even thought of. And it's all these, countries conspiring, and it's all about money. Everything is all about money. Everything is for the, power. Their idea is money is power. And in our situation, and the way I view things, knowledge is power. But for these people, money is power. So that tells you that money, absolute power corrupts, and money is the driving force. So I hope you enjoyed this. I will probably have to do I would like to probably do another reading on Muller eventually. Excuse me. And I believe I probably want to do a reading on how Trump is handling all these revelations. And if he really knows how dire of a situation is, this is squeezing blood out of a turnip, and he's got it. So this is going to open up so much more. And yes, he has flipped thoroughly. So I hope you enjoy this reading. Until next time, thanks. Bye.